3news.com. Download the TuneIn app from the Google Play or the Apple App Store and listen to us on the go. We're live on Facebook as well on 3FM 92.7.
Nobody should be killed for their work.
Say no to police brutality.
Journalism is not a crime.
Journalism is not a crime.
Journalism is not a crime.
Coming up this afternoon, details from economic and financial data from the Bank of Ghana reveals a whopping loss of 300,000 mobile money subscribers prior to the rollout of the e-levy. Also in the bulletin, Wa Municipal Security Council begins probe into viral video of a man and a woman being flogged over a leaked sex tape. Meanwhile, the Upper West Regional Police Command has been responding to the development following public pressure to take action against the culprits.
Notwithstanding the promise from the overlord, we are carrying out our independent investigation to get the perpetrators and that of the victims for them to tell us their own stories.
We'll take you to the Ashanti region where Kumasi High Court has granted embattled Jabbing MC nominee Alexander Safo Kantanka 90,000 to his bail over alleged corruption case being investigated by the special prosecutor. We have details of these stories and more coming shortly. Let's settle for the details of the stories. First story, details from the economic and financial data from the Bank of Ghana reveals a whopping loss of over 300,000 mobile money subscribers prior to the implementation of the electronic transactions levy. That's not all. The number of active mobile money agents also saw a massive decline in excess of 4,000 during the same period, and the value of transactions also recorded a significant drop. Let's run you through some of those staggering Momo data by the Bank of Ghana and what the look ahead provides. My colleague Jifa Bampo has joined me in the studios to break this down for us. Jifa, good to have you here. What details have you come across from the data?
So when we look at the data, it gives you the various variables. So the registered mobile money accounts, the active mobile money accounts, the registered number of agents, the active agents, the total number of transactions, the total value of the transactions, and the balance on float. Now, the data we have is up to the month of April 2022.
Right.
Take note that the e-levy kicked off on the 1st of May 2022. And one of the things you can tell from the April column is that almost all the variables, with the exception of two, have significantly dropped. So for instance, if you look at the registered mobile money accounts in millions, in March it was 49.2 million. That went up slightly to 49.9 million. However, the main factor to consider is those mobile money accounts that are active. And so when you look at the active number, it dropped from 18.9 to 18.6 million. So there's been a drop of some 300,000.
Right.
Now, take note, like I said, this is only for the month of April, at which time the e-levy had not started. Then when you take a look at the total number of transactions, there had been a general upward trajectory from January. However, when you get to the month of the month of March,
right,
and then you start looking at that column in comparison to the April column, if you look at the number of transactions, it's dropped. It's from 413 to 403, and that is in millions. That is the number of transactions. It dropped by almost 10 million. But if you look at the value of transactions, that too has also dropped. It's valued in billion Ghana cedis. In March, it was 90.5 billion. It has dropped to 87.7 which is more than 2 billion, the value of the transactions. So the key indicators demonstrate that there is a drop in April. What I can infer from the data is that people in April started trying to wean themselves off using mobile money or any electronic transaction that would potentially be subject to e-levy.
Right.
So I think people took the month of April to gradually ease themselves off. So I think the game changer will be to see what the numbers look like in May.
Yeah.
Because that would then demonstrate whether there's a significant drop, because in the month of April, that is when the campaigns began encouraging education about e-levy. So people started going off. So these are numbers that I guess we need to pay attention to.
Right.
And obviously the cumulative effect will be felt at the end of the quarter, the third quarter. That's when you will see what the significant quantum of drop is.
But briefly, going forward, do you think that, the changes we saw from April to May is because of the change that came, and by the end of May we're going to recognize us going back to the normal lives with mobile money transactions because we may have accepted it by that time?
So the government indicated that certainly they expect that there will be a 20% drop in mobile money use, but they anticipate that it will pick up after that. So it's still early days yet. We need to see what the fuller data will tell us, because now it means we're going to be analyzing by end of year 6 months of data to determine whether people had eased off and then came back. Take note, people are also exploiting potential loopholes in the system.
True.
And so once those loopholes remain, the potential for uptake may be less because people will be doing other things. For instance, if you go to the banks, there's more bank transactions in person. A lot of people depositing checks, a lot of people withdrawing cash. There's also a lot of ATM transactions. So we need to wait a little longer to see what the cumulative effect of these variables of financial transactions will look like and determine whether really people have moved off digital transactions
completely
to
or
avoid
just for a while.
e-levy, or it's just for a moment. Yeah.
Jifa, thank you so much for your time. Well, Dr. Adu Owusu Sarkodie is a lecturer at the Economics Department of the University of Ghana. He's also joined us on phone to help us interpret this. Doc, grateful for your time with us on the program. What is your interpretation of the May 2022 economic and financial data by the Bank of Ghana on Momo transactions?
Well, Momo transactions has already gained ground. It has matured. The government waited for 10 years before introducing the electronic tax after Kenya started theirs in the year 2012. So a transaction that is around 1 trillion Ghana cedis is a mature transaction, which is more than the value of our GDP. We have about 42 million accounts and still growing with 18 million active accounts. And so it was just necessary that the government would design a tax on an area that generates much economic activity.
Okay.
So some of us supported the tax. And so the outlook or the economic summary that has been released by the Bank of Ghana actually reflects people's perception or speculations about whether or not they will pay the e-levy and how much they will pay and the interest and all that. So there was that kind of panic, withdrawal. People were not so sure, skepticism here and there, trying to ask so many questions. And we could even infer from the town hall meeting how a number of people, many people were asking questions for clarity, questions to also to support the argument against the tax. So everything was surrounding the e-levy. And like I said, between the month of April and May, the tax was introduced on 1st May. And so as of now, we could only infer from the speculation and panic withdrawal within that period when government announced that it was going to impose the tax. So it's just a speculation and panic with our. Now, it has been fully implemented for 1 month. So we are waiting to see what will happen in the coming months.
Right.
Remember that the government of Ghana, the government already anticipated, as I think Ifa or the lady in your studio said, the government expected about 24% reduction in all the transactions as a way of people's reaction, immediate reaction to that. And going forward, they expect it to bounce back. How is it going to bounce back? It will bounce back based on the alternatives that people don't have. If I want to do mobile money transaction and I have alternatives because I don't want to pay the e-levy, I will switch to the alternative. So
that's right.
Based on the alternative available, and people will then find ways and means to avoid the tax. So let's see. There's a mid-year budget coming next month, and that will give us a
broader picture.
View, yes, a bigger picture of what is happening, the projections for the year, and most importantly, and then last time when Jifa called me, I told her, most importantly is how the funds have been used for, the use of the tax. I think many Ghanaians are raising questions about accountability here and there, that if the government during the mid-year budget can even point to 1, 2, or 3 items, that they have used the e-levy for, I think Ghanaians will be happy with the government, and they will continue to pay the taxes when necessary. Yeah.
Doc, thank you so much for your time with us on the program. Dr. Adu Sarkodie is a lecturer at the Economics Department of the University of Ghana. Away from that, let's head to the Upper West region, where there's been a lot of talk about a viral video which captured some persons flogging 2 young people at the Wana's Palace over a sex video leak. The issue has attracted wide condemnation from human rights groups and sections of the general public amid calls for security agencies to take action against the perpetrators. Municipal Chief Executive for Wa Isahaku Tahiru says the Security Council has begun a probe into the circumstances that led to the flogging of the 2 allegedly, following a directive by the local chief for persons who engage in some of these acts of leaking nude and obscene materials.
The video, according to the sources, was recorded by the young lady and then she kept it on social media. So when it happens like that, and I got the story, I got some of my security officers involved. I saw it informed. And they are looking into the matter and to come out with whatever advice and suggestions so that the Municipal Security Council will take it up from there. The traditional authority in the municipality has been so supportive, in terms of administering the municipality. They support us in so many ways. So, and I think sometimes there may be some excesses. This could be one of them. But we're going to look at the matter.
Well, we can now hear from the Upper West Police Commander, ASP Peter Ndekugri, as he explains what really transpired.
I was here when I had a WhatsApp message, a text message today, that something was happening at Wana Palace, and I asked what was happening. Then he now sent me a picture. So I quickly dispatched my in charge of operation, Superintendent Ali, to move to Wana Palace. Only for him to get there and call me to tell me that when he got there, there was nobody. Everybody has vanished from the place. But you don't need a magician to tell you that the incident happened in the Wana Palace, because you can see the background of the palace. And so, as I talk to you now, Wana is in a very crucial meeting with the chiefs and elders of the palace. From there, they will bring us the few elders who were there to witness, or in quote, who supposedly might have given that instructions for that barbaric act. And so we are just folded our arms, waiting for the outcome of the meeting. However, notwithstanding the promise from the overlord, we are carrying out our independent investigation to get the perpetrators and that of the victims, for them to tell us their own stories.
That was ASP Peter Ndekugri Anumbugre as he explains what transpired on the flogging of the 2 persons. But what does the law say in situations like this? Christian Malmhesi is a private legal practitioner and he has joined me on phone to help us understand this. Christian, thank you for your time with us on the program. You have followed the development, watched this video. What do you make of the action?
It is regrettably sad that such a thing ensued in this modern day Ghana. This is very retrogressive, it's barbaric and uncouth for such persons to involve themselves in it. If two consenting adults have had a sexual relationship, and unfortunately for them, that particular encounter found itself leaked by way of a pornographic film, as in a video leaking out. Yes, the public could share their resentment about it, just like any other Ghanaian. And even with that, we have laid down procedures to investigate and find out whether indeed either of the parties deliberately leaked it out to settle scores, and the criminal actions could be brought up against whoever would be found culpable.
Right.
That is, if the investigation found one as that. That said, the persons involved in the flocking and all, it sounds nothing more than assault on the persons, the couples themselves. And for want of expression, it seems as if the couples have not even made a complaint at the police. It is the public outcry that has caused the police to institute investigations into it. Aside this, the persons who have suffered wrong in society could bring action against the persons in the civil sense, and also criminal actions. They could file a complaint to the divisional or the district police.
Right.
And then criminal actions could commence. Aside that, the police, as of public interest, just as they have started, would launch investigations into the disturbances and apprehend persons found culpable.
Right, but Counsel, what legal options are available for the two victims if they decide now to explore?
That there are two options: it's civil and criminal. So in the civil, this is wrong against the person. So you have assault and all of that, the caning and all of that, and battery. And so in the civil sense, that is what they have. We call it that, we say they could bring an action in tort against them because the civil wrong to their person, to their body. And in the criminal sense, again, you also have assault, aggravated damages to or injury to their person. That's the police when the complainants make themselves available by way of their statements and all of that
to
the police for them to progress. Because if the police investigates this and the complainants themselves are not ready to cooperate with the police, and more so to even stand to testify, to corroborate whatever facts that the police have put before the court, the matter will go nowhere. It will go nowhere.
Counsel,
it is much to do with the persons themselves.
Touch on this briefly for us. What happens to the persons or group of people who encourage the floggers to do what they did?
So they are all conspirated to that particular criminal act. The assault, the battery, they are all conspirators, and they will be charged alike.
Right. Thank you so much for talking with us. Lawyer Christian Malmhesi is a private legal practitioner there. Let's take you to the Ashanti region, where Kumasi High Court, presided over by Presla Dikrofori, has granted bail to failed Jabbing MC nominee Alexander Safo Kantanka. The accused is being tried by the Office of the Special Prosecutor for alleged corruption charges. He was captured in a video on September 2021 demanding a refund of monies paid to assembly members within the Jabin municipality after he failed to secure the required votes for confirmation as MCE. Appearing before the High Court, Alexander Safo Kantanka pleaded not guilty on all the 26 counts of corruption against him. His lawyers prayed the court to admit him to a self-recognizance bail, but the prosecutors demanded surety. The judge granted him a bail of 90,000 cedis with two sureties, one of which should be justified with a landed property. The case has been adjourned to June 29. Ibrahim Abubakar is a man who covered the court proceedings for us and he has joined us on phone. Ibrahim, thank you for your time with us on the program. Unfortunately, we've lost Ibrahim Abubakar. They'll try and raise him again and bring you that conversation. But still on court-related matters, the Criminal Court 3 of the Accra High Court has dismissed James Jachikwasin's application, praying the court to strike out 3 of 5 charges leveled against him. The embattled Member of Parliament for Assin North is facing charges of deceit of a public officer, that is count 1, forgery of passport or travel certificates, count 2, knowingly making a false statutory declaration, count 3, perjury, count 4, and false declaration for office, count 5, owing to him contesting for the 2020 elections. Lead counsel for Jachikwasin, lawyer Chachukitata Tikata, told the court the counts are related to Article 94.2 and hence required interpretation by the Apex Court of the land. The Attorney General's Department, however, opposed the application. Senior State Prosecutor Dorcas Feli argued the application was a clear attempt to waste time of the court. Presiding Judge Justice Mary Mam Ekwe Centrenier, after listening to both divide, dismissed the application and called for prosecution to call it witnesses in the trial set for July 12. Let's go back to the Ashanti region and speak with Ibrahim Abubakar, who was following the case of the Jabin MCE, the failed Jabin MCE, who appeared in court today and was granted bail. Ibrahim, thank you. What more can you report on the happenings in court today?
Well, I would say today it was very brief. In fact, when the accused appeared before the High Court, the court read all the corruption, the 26 counts of corruption charges to him, and he responded saying he's not guilty on all of them. So after that, his lawyer just prayed that the court grant him self-recognizance bail, because for them he has appeared before the special prosecutor twice, and under no circumstance did he fail to appear before even the police and the special prosecutor. So he's a man of integrity, someone who has a permanent place of abode, who can easily be tracked. So they were rooting for a self-recognizance bill, but the team from the prosecution, the special prosecutor office also decided that they are not against the bill, but at least there should be a surety so that someone should be there to guarantee for him. That's when the judge decided to grant him a bail of 90,000 Ghana cedis.
But what was his demeanor?
Well, he appeared not disturbed. In fact, when he came to the court, even when the court was reading his count for him, I think every 30 seconds he would just turn around and just scout the court and continue. So you look at his demeanor, he appeared not disturbed, because I asked him, he told me, even though he didn't grant interview with us, but he told me he is not guilty and he did not do anything contrary to the laws of the country.
Ibrahim, thank you. Please keep an eye on the story for us. Ibrahim Abubakar as a correspondent in the Ashanti region. Back here in the capital, the Fix the Country conveners are demanding, among other things, that government forms an independent civilian expert body to investigate actions of the security agencies and demand an end to the deployment of the military and the use of live ammunition during riot control. The group has assembled and is listening to victims of police brutality, including the family of Albert Donko, who was allegedly shot and killed while in police custody at Nkranza last month. According to the conveners, enough attention has not been paid to the police brutality. My colleague Nancy Vukania is at the briefing. He has joined us on phone to tell us exactly what has been happening there. Nancy, thank you for your time with us on the program. What other details came up?
Yes, what the conveners are saying basically is that over 70 cases of police brutality since 2016 have occurred, and there's not been accountability. Not much is talked about. There are people from Nkranza here, people from Makati, people from Ejura, people from Tamale here, speaking and telling their truth. Their witness accounts of police brutality and intimidation. And what the Fix the Country conveners are trying to highlight is the level of impunity that is enjoyed by the perpetrators of some of these incidents, and also the tendency of government or the service to minimize the scale of the problem and dismiss some of these incidents as isolated cases, and or even sometimes they say it's a certain batch of recruits or a few lone rangers that commit these crimes. But the sheer pervasive nature of police brutality and not accounting for their actions when it involves killings of civilians and so on is what they're trying to highlight. They're also highlighting the lapses in data and intelligence gathering, and according to the group, they've made 4 requests for information per the RTI laws, which the police have ignored and are refusing to disclose those who are shot and killed by the police. And another reason they also say is that within the police service there are rumors, or it is alleged, that the only way to secure some promotion is to go and kill an armed robber, discharge firearms, and well, it's justified. It's sort of incentive-driven for policemen to go ahead and kill people that are alleged or assumed to be armed robbers. It's a way of getting promoted. That's also one of the reasons.
Right. Thank you so much, Nancy Vukania, for bringing us that. We can now take a listen to Felicity Nelson, who is the speaker for the group.
Colleagues, it's been 30 years of our democracy. Unfortunately, our democracy has refused to retire violence and arbitrary killings permanently. The fact is, extrajudicial killings by persons in uniform in our country, have been a feature of policing, law and enforcement. Public applause for law enforcement. We are also witnessing several instances where police officers in crowd policing situations have consistently discharged live ammunition and firearms with impunity. We are also deeply troubled by the frequency and ease with which military persons with no or little training in civilian engagement de-escalating tense crowd situations peacefully. In light of the foregoing, we make the following demands. Setting up an independent investigative body. We're demanding that an independent civilian expert body be established to probe allegations against members of the security agencies. We are demanding an immediate end to the deployment of military persons in civilian crowd control situations. We are demanding that the police officers immediately cease the use of live ammunition in protest. We are demanding the putting in place of operating procedures on public order policing immediately. We're demanding that the Attorney General prioritizes prosecution of offending police officers.
That was Felicity Nelson, the speaker for the Fix the Country group there. Away from that, General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party, John Boadu, says people should not be wrongly accused for land grabbing if they went through the due process to acquire the lands. It follows public discourse on the purported acquisition of a parcel of land in the Achimota Forest by Sir John, a former chief executive of the Forestry Commission, which he willed to his family. Commenting on the issue, John Boadu insisted it would be a conflict of interest if an official involved in the process to return lands to Alodia owners turn around to acquire the same.
For the seats that you lost, collectively, who should we hold accountable for?
Collectively is a party. Because you see, one thing about the running of a party is that all decisions emanate from either the steering. Things are difficult all over the world, to the extent that as we speak now, you cannot buy more than 2 toilet rolls in Germany. It is rationed. You understand? It's not available. Even if you have the money, you can't get it. So, as a developing country, the toll will be even higher and harsher on the people than it used to be. We must be frank about that. Issues about corruption that we cannot run away with. You see, one thing, like you mentioned, the Achimota Forest. What about it?
Ramsar site. Well, lands scramble for the lands. That's according to the reports we're getting.
You see, let's get it straight. Government acquires land from individuals for a purpose. If government decide not to use it for the purpose for which he acquired the land, government need to go to the original owners, either give it back or give some part of it, and all that. And this is normal process.
That was John Boadu speaking with Johnny Hughes there. Details of that are on our website, 3news.com, also on all our social media platforms at TV3 Ghana. And that's it for the 3FM News at midday. My name is Noble Crosby Anna. There's more news on our website, 3news.com. Please enjoy the rest of our programs. Good afternoon.